Welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. I might change up that welcome intro. That is a almost too peaceful. Gage, how we doing, brother?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, man. Just good. Looking forward to talking a little bit of college basketball here to start the season off. To start the night off. It's been
Yeah.
a fun day of hoops. What's the first game when you think about day one that kind of jumps out at you as far as the most enjoyable that you watched?
I don't know. It feels like there hasn't been as many fireworks during this first day as there has been in recent years. A lot of games that haven't been too close. Um, but I guess I would say I had at least an enjoyment watching the McNeese game. It was kind of cool to see McNeese go in there and get the upset over Clemson, even though it was kind of Clemson played awful. But yeah, it's been all right. I guess I've had more different years in the past have probably been better on day one than I feel like this one has entertainment wise.
I mean, yeah, overall, top to bottom, yeah, there hasn't been much drama at all. And, some people, we've talked on the timeline a little bit, say that the McNeese State, 12/5 is plenty dramatic. But I mean, I didn't talk to many people that didn't think McNeese had a good chance in that game, and the majority of people that I talked to thought McNeese would win the game. So
Yeah,
13 points in the first half for Clemson. Yeah, a beat down there. You got to give a lot of credit to Will Wade. All the distractions that could, that are obviously going around right there. It doesn't sound like contract hasn't been assigned from what it sounds like between Will
yeah,
Wade and North Carolina State, but it doesn't seem like, he's still going to be in town for much longer. So credit to McNeese State for pulling it together. The Cowboys get their first tournament win in history. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, you have a 9/8 and Creighton whipping Louisville. Like
yeah,
Joshy, welcome to the stream, Joshy. Like Joshy said, Purdue and High Point had a fun little start to that game.
yeah,
Didn't really last too long. I think they're late in the first half. You could really kind of feel it getting away from High Point,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Purdue just really did shot the ball pretty terrible like the first 10 minutes of the game, and I just think that High Point kind of stayed in the game because of that. But you could definitely tell the difference in physicality, which sometimes it plays out like that in these stories. But you need to hit a lot of threes, and you definitely got to make free throws. And I feel like a lot of the underdogs today haven't done that. For an example, just like we're watching the San Diego game right now, they're just not shooting very well at all. And they need to do that, because they're just not going to out rebound Michigan. They're not going to out physical them. So you got to make your shots, you got to make your free throws, and if you don't do that, it's going to be tough to upset these bigger teams. But I guess Arkansas Kansas was probably the other interesting game. I enjoyed watching the end of that game. But
Yeah,
and then
the sec.
yeah,
I was
go
just,
ahead.
I was just going to say the second half in that game a lot better than the first half as far as from a purist sport or standpoint, because there was no defense whatsoever played in that
Yeah,
first half.
yeah,
Just nothing. I was shocked by that. And second half a lot more competitive, a lot more physical. I thought that the officials had a pretty good grasp on that game and let them play. But yeah, that's one that I took all the brackets I filled out. I had Arkansas moving on. This isn't the same Bill Self in Kansas. They don't have the same firepower. They're not near as good at guard. They run their offense and team through Hunter Dickinson, and no disrespect to that kid, but that's just not what I would try to do as a top of the line collegiate head coach. And so I just Coach Cal lives. They were dead in the water, a month ago, and here's Arkansas still playing and being one of the only SEC teams to have a decent showing here.
yeah.
Does it mean or matter to you, or mean anything or matter to you at all that the SEC has kind of had a rough showing? Do you have the conference pride in you yet, Gage?
I mean, I think you'd know that I don't. I didn't think that there should have been 14 teams in the first place. I honestly, even as a Texas, I didn't think we really deserved to get in the first place. I mean, it was what it was at the end of the day, but and I wanted to win the other night. You always want to win when your team's in the tournament, but yeah, I mean, Georgia was a fantastic example that, I mean, Gonzaga whooped them. Now, I don't think Gonzaga should have been an 8 seed, but I don't really have conference pride. I think the SEC is really good at the top. Um, the top in the middle. I think they're a great conference, but I just didn't think that they were like a four. I don't think SEC is a 14 deep conference. So no, it doesn't really matter what the showing looks like for the SEC. I get to kind of take my jabs because I feel like we're still kind of like not part of that conference pride. So I still get to take my jabs at the SEC as well, even though we're part of it. So
I'm the same way. I'm not worried about conference pride. I don't care whether Alabama wins the national title or does. It doesn't matter if we're not winning the title. I mean, there's a couple of schools that I prefer not win it. Like an Ohio State in football or whoever it may, Texas A&M and anything. Of course, there's a couple of schools, but as far as conference pride goes, that's far down on our priority list. Welcome here, Mr. Miracle. I will be Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully, that's the plan as of now for Texas and LSU. Should be a really, really fun weekend. We're kind of twisting the knife here on our buddy Gage because Gage wants to be in Austin, Texas a little bit this weekend, but I don't think it's going to be able to get here.
My daughter has softball. I'm still thinking about definitely trying to make it up on Sunday, but I definitely wanted to be there Saturday night for the girls' game and then Sunday for the game 3 LSU Texas. Yeah, I'm still debating going. I'm going back and forth. I got a couple days to decide. I'm close enough to drive last second if I want to.
It wouldn't be the first time you made that trip last second.
No.
You get, once again, guys, you've got Texas baseball hosting LSU Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You've got Texas women's basketball playing in their 116 matchup this weekend at the Moody Center. Women's softball is at home as well. So if you like burnt orange in sports, it's a really good time to be around the Austin area. But appreciate anyone in here in the chat. Thank you guys for showing your face and chime in. Josh, it's always good to have you in here sharing a lot of opinions. We're going to get Mr. Manning in here on this podcast soon. I can promise you that. And not looking too far ahead because there's still plenty of games to talk about today, even though some were kind of lackluster. But yeah, this is going to be fantastic between Gonzaga and Houston. And then you look at Auburn and Creighton.
Yeah.
Two of the more fun 1 versus 8, 1 versus 9 matchups that I can ever remember. Those are going to be pretty dang good when you talk about the different styles that they run, the level of coaches that are going to be involved in all those. Those are going to be really fun. But this slate right here, Gage, you have your eye on any particular game
that's going on right now? I mean,
yes,
obviously, I'm interested in the San Diego game because we talked about it a little earlier. I felt like everybody picked it, and I was like, "Man, we're gonna all pick it," and then Michigan's just gonna go in there and bully them, and that's kind of what's happening right now. So that's the one I'm interested in. Obviously, I think Texas Tech is really good this year, and I have them going on a run. But I do think the matchup is kind of interesting with Wilmington. When I started looking at the stacks, started looking a little bit deeper, I was like, both this one and the Iowa State matchup. That they have are the 3-14s that I kind of had my eye on that I was like, these ones seem like they could be a little bit of trouble for both of these teams. So
we're all capable of a tough opinion. I said last night we were going to win the national championship in the first 5 minutes of that game because we looked really good. The offense was slowing, defense was clicking. We were boarding, doing everything right. I like this. This is, okay, I see why you had the late rule out or the late switch after the rule out. I get it, Chef. Arkansas, though, I mean, hey, playing a ton better. I don't know what turned. I mean, they just have more energy. They're running up and down the court. They can still get lazy on defense and give up a lot of points in a hurry at times like they did at the end of the first half today. But I mean, overall, Arkansas fans got to be pretty happy with what's happened in year one under Coach Cal, considering everybody kind of had them dead to rights. But, yeah, as far as this slate here, Gage needs UC San Diego. I also, in my brackets, I think all three took UC San Diego. Rough start there, down 14 at the half. Yeah. Not a lot of offense there in the first few minutes. I don't think that they had scored until after, like, the 5-minute mark in that one.
Yeah, I was hoping the Michigan turnovers and San Diego would be able to get in transition and kind of be able to hit a couple threes. Not getting into transition has kind of been worst case scenario for San Diego because Michigan's just able to kind of body them and play really good defense. So,
yeah, I mean Michigan was just running up and down the court after getting rebounds and finding layups almost uncontested there. Yeah, it definitely looked like a mismatch. And like you said, maybe we fell for a bit of a trap. I want to say, Clint, really appreciate the comment there. Everything's good with my little dude. Just a quick, easy surgery. Um, not to like make a minor thing a big deal, but anytime you're talking about with a kiddo and anesthesia and just all that mess, I feel like it's worth mentioning. And so I really appreciate all the guys on Twitter, all the support. Easy day for the guy. He's 100% at the moment. Everything's fine. So thanks for checking in on him. Josh, this is a really good question and one that I thought we'd maybe address later in the show. But
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in Kansas that seem to kind of be souring on Bill Self, which maybe this is just crazy fans that just have really loud voices and people like me who maybe aren't affiliated with the university, and then they can put their face on YouTube and scream about how Bill Self has ruined their program. Yeah, to me, it's, that's just people being entitled. That would be the Texas football version of the situation, because I mean, if they look at what Mac Brown did, and we're essentially running Mac Brown off at the end. And so,
Yeah. Just
I
won a national
just,
championship 2 years ago.
yeah, Bill Self, yeah. And so would Texas take a chance at Bill Self? Would Texas take a swing at Bill Self? I think that Chris Del Conte fully has it within his in his bag, if you will, to go after a cat like that, a guy that maybe isn't as happy as he once was, a guy that still has a lot left in the tank, and a guy and I've said this out loud before. This isn't just because I'm like, oh, our school might go for him. I think Bill Self is the best coach in college basketball history. Sorry for you Coach K stands out there, or whoever else John Wooden, whatever it may be. Bill Self has done a lot in keeping Kansas up there in the world with the Carolinas and the Dukes, Villanovas over the last couple of decades. And so look at the talent he's had compared to others. Like, yeah, I mean, he's getting elite talent, but X's and O's, half court sets, Bill Self, excellent motivator too. So curious to see. I have no idea. I will say I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Del Conte were to make a phone call, or maybe he's already made a phone call. That would be a really, really big coup. And I don't think with Del Conte you can take anything off the table. I think he's shown that. I think quite obviously he's shown that nothing or anything goes, rather. So. Time will tell on that. It's a really good question, though, Josh. Chef, I get it. Michigan, great pick. You're going to win. You're up 14. We're cooked. Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not feeling too good about this.
What's San Diego's mascot? Santa Barbara is like the Gauchos. I was just trying.
Try.
Hey, Evan, really appreciate it, man. Again, he's doing great. Easy day for us. Shout out Rogues. Easy day for us. But yeah, definitely a little bit tired. He got up pretty dang early this morning. So here's another fun one. Yeah, the contract not signed yet. Allegedly between, I don't know if can you sign a contract while you're still coaching in the NCAA tournament for another game?
Yeah, I don't think so.
A lot of Texas fans want Will Wade. Is he going to be the first option you would want, Gage? Because it seems to me that most people want Will Wade before anyone else.
I think Will Wade is an excellent coach. He's not my first option. I think that are we doing this right now? Are we talking about our option? What our favorites are? I think my favorite is currently coaching.
Hold on,
to be honest.
Hold on. It's taking one thing at a time. We're just talking Will Wade. Would he be? He's not your first. So there you go.
Will Wade is he's a really good coach. I think you saw that today. Like, excellent game plan. Going into that game against Clemson. I think Clemson adjusted towards the end, probably a little too late. They finally started getting the ball inside against McNeese' smaller size. But McNeese, kind of like they talked about on the broadcast, McNeese wasn't built for a game against ACC. Like, strength and he had a great game plan going into it. And I think that shows exactly who Will Wade is. And now Will Wade is, I just not sure how it's going to all pan out and if he really wants to come to Texas or what's going to happen with the NC State situation. So I would love Will Wade. Like, if Will Wade is the hire, like, I'm all about it. You know what I'm saying? But I think, there is some part of me also, like, after what happened with, not that we could have known, but after what happened with Chris Beard, I am kind of like a little pushback on coaches that have, even though it's not cheating anymore, but coaches that have some sort of history. You know what I'm saying? Some sort of something on their shoulder. I am a little weary because I don't want another Beard situation where we have the program what feels like turned around, and then all of a sudden we're back on square one again. So yeah, it's an interesting situation with Will Wade. It's things are just weird in that court right now.
Yeah, and just for clarification for anyone that, we always try to keep it pretty open here and say whatever, Will Wade and Chris Beard were in trouble for two completely different things. And most
Yes.
people will know that, but for the few that do not, yeah, Will Wade has not been in that type of trouble.
No.
And I won't comment on Chris Beard because we could talk for hours. But anyways, so Will Wade obviously doing really, really cool things. I love seeing how fired up he is post game, running around,
Yeah.
celebrating with all these people. I don't know if these are random fans in the stands, parents of his players, whoever it was. I don't know what he's high fiving everybody. He's having a good time. I got to go back up to Clint's comment real quick. Well, I'm going to be very honest with you, Clint, and might get in trouble from some of my Aggie friends, but I've been told that Buzz Williams is not very happy in College Station. Um, Buzz and Trevor Albert's not particularly a healthy relationship. I'm speaking too much because it's all just rumors, but it's from people that I do trust. And so I'll say this: like, if a lot of the Aggies think that he's leaving, and they're kind of just wanting to push him out anyways, and so it's weird because they have a really damn good basketball team, in my opinion. They lost, I think, 5 out of 7 games there between the end of the regular season and then their loss to Texas. And I know we're talking about a team that lost to Texas twice in a year being a really damn good team, but they have the makeup of a good team. They do. They can really rebound. They play defense. They're physical. Their issue is they've been susceptible to being beat on the 3-point line, and then they don't necessarily shoot the rock really well in the half court offense. So I think if they get scoring from their guards in this tournament, A&M can go deep. I really do. I think that A&M could make an Elite Eight run. As Gage texted me earlier with a lot of question marks. Somebody saw my bracket. But no, I think A&M has the potential. They beat Auburn once, and Auburn has a really tough matchup with Creighton.
Yeah.
And then A&M, I think, matches up pretty well with Creighton if that were to be the case. And again, I don't know if any of that's true. I'm just saying there are a lot of Aggies saying a lot of different things about Buzz Williams, and to the point where they believe he's putting his name in the hat for other coaching jobs. And so whether that's true or not, I don't know, because we'll never actually know one way or the other until the end of the year comes, and then we can probably get a pretty good guess based off what happens. This is a great question from Yap. Shout out Yap. Thanks for being here, man. One of my favorite Texas folks on Twitter. It's going to break my heart because so many people talk about Rodney in such a negative way. And I've been there as far as talking about what our basketball team looks like. I've been plenty frustrated with Rodney Terry, but man, he's burnt orange through and through. He's a Longhorn. I don't have a guess on where he goes, but if I was the next coach, I would try to find a way to add Rodney Terry on staff. I don't know if there's going to be sour grapes or animosity or anything like that. I'm really hoping not. I hope he's not bitter towards our fan base for a lot of the comments and a lot of different things, because there's been a lot of dumb shit out there. Like, we're being honest, but that's just me maybe being living in fantasy land, wanting my cake and eating it too, just because it's like it makes sense. He loves Texas. You saw the comment he made yesterday after the loss. The guy he's been a Longhorn for a long time. Why can't it continue? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But so no, I don't have an actual guess. Getting any guesses or thoughts on that from you, Gage?
No, I mean I hope that somehow he can stay in Austin because we talk. Rodney Terry's a great guy. You know what I'm saying? I think at the end of the day, um, when it comes to making this coaching change, it's more about the trajectory of the basketball program and where Texas basketball wants to be. And I just, as kind of what somebody in the comments said about Buzz Williams, he feels like that Buzz has a ceiling, and I think RT has a ceiling too. And I think the community sees that. I think that there's a lot of different money things that kind of go into that too with NIL, and I love Rodney Terry. Like, I would love to retain Rodney Terry on staff. Like, that would be great because he loves
Right.
Austin and we love him. But, you know, when it comes to being the head coach at Texas, it just didn't work out. And that's just the way it works sometimes when it comes to these things, unfortunately. But if he goes and he's a head coach somewhere else, I would also, I'll never not root for Rodney Terry. Like, if he gets, unless he's playing Texas, if he gets into the tournament down the road somewhere else as a head coach, like, I'll definitely be rooting him on.
Yeah, and he's earned that. I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't hate Charlie Strong as a person. The comment a little bit earlier that we posted on the screen, we didn't hate
No.
Charlie as a person. It didn't work out. You root for the guy down the line if you want. You do what you want. But yeah, Rodney Terry deserves respect from Texas fan. Been a part of the basketball program for over a decade. So I mean, you have to have a lot of love for the guy. Evan, I think you're safe on this one. I think that, and I'm not trying. This sounds arrogant. I think Texas is going a lot bigger than Buzz Williams in this coaching search. I think they're going to try to a pretty big splash higher, and so you're safe, man. And hopefully, if A&M's looking for a coach, hopefully that works out for you too, or not. Can't really
Yeah.
pretend to be genuine about that, but
I think Buzz Williams is a good coach. I think he's a really good coach for Texas A&M. I don't think the personal dynamics are working out over there. Kind of the same thing you were saying earlier, but I think that he's going to land somewhere and he's going to be perfectly fine, and he's going to be a dang good head coach wherever he goes.
well, if everything exactly like you said, if all the scuttle is true, you know, Trev Alberts is not like the most beloved guy in Brazos County at the moment, and
Yeah.
there was apparently issues with Coach Schlossnagel and Trev Alberts, and now you have another. Hey, we're on this side of the rivalry. I do try to keep it as fair as possible and talk to people from all over the state as far as rivals, whether it be Baylor, Texas. Hey, those small rivals. I don't care; they're still rivals. But everybody, I try to keep it fair. So I'm not trying to sound like I'm dogging on A&M and Trev Alberts, but it sounds like not many coaches really just love Trev Alberts right now, as far as the coaches that he, maybe burned or did not burn bridges with at Nebraska, and then the coaches that he's interacting with now, in College Station.
Yeah.
And again, if I was an Aggie, I probably would be more upset with Trev Alberts come year's end if Buzz Williams was no longer the head coach. Because let's be real here, A&M has made the tournament 3 straight years now. This is the first time in a while I can remember them being a top 5 seed. They had a little bit of a scuttle. Now, this is a Buzz Williams thing. It's always a Buzz Williams thing. They have a crazy losing stretch at somewhere in the year. Now, this is sports. You're going to have bad times. But even when he's had some really good teams, this year you lose 5 out of 7. That's the majority of their losses right there in a very short time span. And they look like a completely different team than they've looked like for 2 months before. And that's what you're going to have at times when you have these college kids, let's say college football, college baseball. It happens. But Buzz Williams has a ceiling, like you said, like they've said in the comments. There's a ceiling on Buzz Williams, and so A&M needs to look at and think like, who are we as a basketball program? Is getting to the tournament and winning a game or two here or there, like, is that good enough? If we're doing that once every, if we're winning a tournament game, 30-40% of the years in a decade, like, is that good enough? Like, what are they really expecting in basketball? Because, like, let's be honest, like, if they were to go get a big coach, Houston has a very proud program right down the road. Texas has showed that they are not afraid to go into College Station and take a big fish. So it's just really weird. It's really odd. And this is where it's kind of a tough beat for A&M there, because they had, y'all would have had sustained success with Billy Clyde or Mark Turgeon if there weren't, issues with Billy Clyde and him kind of stepping on his own feet there. And then Mark Turgeon going to Maryland. I know people get so frustrated with basketball coaches, man, and they're like, oh my God. I remember Aggies hating Mark Turgeon at times. He's a damn good basketball coach. He was a good coach at Maryland. And so it's, and hey, yeah, that's the thing, man. What is our expectation? And this is where, and we just said this on the show before, I think Texas is a top 15 overall job in the country easily in the modern era of college basketball, the NIL era, the transfer portal era. Why not Texas? Are you kidding me? The facility of the Moody Center is an elite venue. It's probably a top 5 basketball facility in college athletics.
Yeah.
Like it.
Watch the women's games.
Watch the women's games. Texas fans. Texas fans will fill it up. Texas fans
Yeah.
will show up. It needs the right coach. And we had that in Chris Beard in the beginning. And we saw the energy when we had Gonzaga in town. You saw the conference crowds. That was a lot of fun throughout that season. It didn't take much for it to taper off. Okay. And, Texas has always been kind of a prove it crowd. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a great, very well brought up question, Josh. Like, what is our expectation? Top 15 overall for me. I mean, we're a top 15 job. And so going further into that, I'm not saying we have to be a second round team every single or a second weekend team in the tournament every single week or every single year. But I'm saying, Texas should be making a Sweet 16, 3 or 4 times a decade, with a chance at a Final Four run, maybe once, if it happened twice. Wow. I think that's being pretty far ahead of, where we're at now. And there's no reason it can't happen because you're talking about NIL.
Yeah.
Texas can pay more than a Villanova, than some of these old school teams up in the, the old Big East schools. There's all these blue blood schools that Texas can, they can counter a little bit. And so for me, what do you think Texas should be, Clint? What about you, Josh? What should it look like? Should we expect other coaches to view the job the same way that I do? Is that what you think, Gage? Should it be a top 15? What makes you happy?
I think yes. I think we should be in the tournament every single year. I think that's for me, that's excellent. And I know that it hasn't been the past, but in the NIL era where we are now, and I understand the NIL hasn't been, I don't know all the in and outs of what the NIL for every single sport looks like, especially, but in my opinion, I think it's probably been held back on basketball. I think that we could have got more guys if there was more NIL coming in. But I think it was the same situation with baseball before we went and got Coach Loss. Like, I think that NIL was being held back a little bit. When you don't have the guy in the community that everybody trusts to get over the top and get the job done, you're not going to spend the money on it, right? And so I think you bring the right head coach into Austin, the NIL is going to come in. You're going to get the guys that you need basketball player-wise, and you're going to be able to make serious runs. I don't expect to make a Sweet 16 every single year. I don't like, we're not Gonzaga. I don't think how many ever years they've been to the Sweet 16 or whatever it is at this point. But I don't see a reason why we can't compete with the Houstons, where obviously Houston's on a crazy stretch right now, but where they're in the tournament every single year, where they're a top 6 seed every single year, where they're making the Sweet 16 often enough. I think that's pretty reasonable. And then obviously every 5-6 years, you're making a serious run at a national title, and getting in deep into that second weekend, or even making a Final Four appearance. So, one Final Four a decade. I think you make one or two Final Four. You make 2 Final Fours in a decade. I mean, how many Final Fours have we made? Period. And so you get what I'm saying. So it's like, I expect that in the NIL year, but it has to be the right head coach, because the money's not going to come in from these big NIL donors if it's not the right guy, and if they don't believe that he's going to be able to get the guys over the top. And I kind of think it was the same thing with baseball. And now you see where we're at with baseball and where we're at recruiting wise with baseball. Now all of a sudden we have the number 1 recruiting class again. And I think basketball can be the same way. I think that we can get a lot of the big time transfers and a lot of the big time recruits to say, let's go to Texas when you have that money. And I think you're going to get that money with a coach that they trust can get you over the top.
No, I completely agree. And I know you're referencing NIL before, Sloss under David Pierce, or a lot of people that thought, NIL was underfunded for baseball with Pierce. And like you're saying, that's for a reason. There's people that believe that he's not going to get it done, and they'd rather put their money elsewhere. And that's just as blunt as you can put it. And so that's definitely been an issue with Texas basketball. And you have some schools that are out there and they're recruiting in all types of ways, like they always have been, on top of NIL.
Yeah.
And so it made it hard. And Texas and Rodney Terry did what they could as far as bringing some talent into the portal. It didn't necessarily all mesh together and fit. We didn't really have a true point guard, and we would have had to have a true point guard on this team in the SEC to reach its ceiling. And no disrespect to Jordan Pope, but I don't think he was, a true point guard and not the guy that needed to lead this team there. And that's why you saw obviously Tremont Mark take over, late in the series or late in the season. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, making the tournament every year without question, we should not ever be, in my opinion, an 11 seed. Maybe it happens once every 15, 20 years. I feel like Texas, this is a program that had, and now God bless Rick Barnes, but you have TJ Ford, you have PJ Tucker, you have LaMarcus Aldridge, you have Kevin Durant in a span of 4 seasons. Now, if those guys play together, which obviously they did not, and they wouldn't even in today's climate, but Texas is capable of bringing in very, very elite talent. They brought in elite talent since then. Okay, it's been kind of sporadic and get spaced out a little bit, but they can bring in the real cats. And this was before the NIL era. Now you just had a Trey Johnson. They're going to recover and be okay in basketball. It's just all about getting the right hire. And considering, and I've said plenty of times on Texas Sports Unfiltered, Chris Del Conte loves basketball. It's his favorite sport. He's going to nail the hire. He's going to make a big hire here. Gage, now it's time that you reveal to the people. Tell them, who's your first choice?
Well, my first choice. How many people are watching this? My first choice is currently coaching. I want to.
I hope so.
I want to do the double dip. I want Grant McCasland out of Texas Tech. He's a winner. The more you look into him, he's won everywhere he goes. I love his passion. I know it's not the biggest name, and some people are going to probably question that right off the bat, but he's a winner, man. And he did it at North Texas. He's doing it now at Texas Tech. A pretty quick turnaround considering where they were like at Mark Adams after Chris Beard. So, yeah, that's who I want. Obviously, people are going to go crazy like, oh, Jay Wright, stuff like that. Like, you get any of those gigantic names. I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic, and I think that he's a perfect man for the job. And I think, didn't work out once. Let's try it twice. Let's see if it works the second time around.
Okay, now tell me this: what do you think Texas fans' reactions would be if Texas were to take Grant McCasland from Texas Tech overall?
I think most people would just love it as a troll. Mostly, I don't think that at first. I don't think they would look at it as like a huge like. I think people would eventually. They're going to look into him and they're going to be like, "Dude, this guy, he's a winner." You know what I'm saying? I think eventually, at first, they might be like, "I'm not sure," but it's hilarious that we stole Tech's coach again. So I think at first it would be like more of a troll job thing, but I think eventually when they look into him and get to know who the guy is as a coach, I think they're going to love it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody's first reaction would be to jump on Texas Tech, troll that situation, laugh. And then exactly that, you go look at the work that he's done, and winners win, and Grant McCasland wins a lot. So, Gage and I have talked a lot about Grant McCasland. That's a guy that I don't know if Texas Tech folks would ever interact with me again on Twitter. There's so many of them that I have good relationships with, and we love to joke back and forth. But, there's always, one scenario that kind of, breaks the camel's back on that. And it would be hard to joke with them after that. I don't think they would be too much in the mood, man. So I'll say this: if Texas were to hire Grant McCasland, I don't think overall the fan base would deem it as, one real sexy pick or anything of that nature. But I would absolutely love the hell out of it. I think Grant McCasland would kill it in Austin. Very familiar with the state, recruited in DFW, knows DFW, has a ton of relationships there. And one of the two big, obviously, hotbeds in talent for the state. Houstonville still very much matters in hoops as far as, in the high school recruiting scene. I'm not trying to say that DFW runs it or anything. Don't want to get in trouble there. But let me tell you, man, Grant McCasland is a ball coach. That's a guy who knows how to coach defense. So stylistically, I mean, Texas probably wouldn't get in there and average 80 points a game like they might if they had a Nate Oates. So I know that there are a lot of Texas fans clamoring for a guy like that. A lot of points, a lot of dunks, 3-pointers, high pace offense. Would you want to see a Nate Oates? And do you think there's a snowball's chance in hell that could happen?
I think with the current athletic director, anything can happen. So I wouldn't be shocked at any scenario unfolding. But do I really want Nate Oates? I mean, yeah, sure. Like at the end of the day, like a lot of the good names that we're throwing out there are going to be good hires. But I don't think that sort of offense is conducive to winning national championships. And like in my personal opinion, I want to win national championships. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Alabama does go on a run and wins one with Nate Oates just scoring a million points and not playing defense consistently, good defense consistently. But I think more conducive long term to winning long term that's not the style.
I mean, it would be a lot of fun. Seats would be filled up.
Yeah.
Real quick, Clint, Evan, Josh, you guys tell me who y'all want. Who do you want coaching Texas, assuming that anything is on the table? And that's why we're talking about these options, like Gage just mentioned. Sorry, I keep looking at the game, hoping it's getting a little tighter there with Michigan and San Diego. But so anything is on the table with Del Conte. You have to expect something, and you can't take anything off the table. You know that he's capable of getting his claws in deep and shocking all of college athletics with just about every sport. So do I think Texas hires Nate Oates? Probably not. Now, can you the 5% that I might give that? Would it have been a 0% without the mastermind of Chris Del Conte? Yeah, it would be like a 0. But you have to give that guy some type of percentage into pulling off anything. So yeah, you guys tell me who you want. How we just would be fun here. This would be fun. I mean, this would be for the 10-year-old me gets real excited thinking about that, man. Watching his Kentucky teams when I was a little guy. Do we take a chance on a coach that's that old? He can coach. He's probably going to kill it in the portal, kill it in recruiting. So it could be a guy that fixes culture, fixes culture, yes, but also just flips talent on its head and loads the roster up with talent before maybe another guy comes on when he decides to retire. Tommy Lloyd, another name there. See, Yap knows ball. If y'all aren't following Nap, you better be.
Yeah.
Nap knows ball. Here's a name that has been mentioned a ton in the last 24 hours, but Mr. Sean Miller, Mr. Wiretap himself, former Arizona head coach now Xavier, of course, as you know, he's 1-1 in the tournament against Rodney Terry. But hey, if I use this stat all the time on him because it's a very impressive stat. If his teams have been in the second weekend of the tournament now 7 out of 11 years, and if he wins 2 more games, it's 8 out of 12. That's really impressive. I mean, you're consistently making it to the second weekend, being one of the final 16 teams. It's not easy to do. And the only time Texas has ever had a run like that is during the Rick Barnes years. Should have probably had a little more than we got, but hey, it is what it is. Tough to get there. How would you feel about a Sean Miller?
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I think Chris Del Conte is gonna whatever hire he makes is gonna be the one that's correctly. He's the one talking to all these guys. He's the one that knows everything that in and out of what's going on. So I think Sean Miller would be a good hire. And I think it is realistic, but at the same time, like at that point, I would rather just try and snatch Will Wade out of the North Carolina State jaws. In my opinion, that would be if we're gonna go that route. But Sean Miller would be a good hire. I wouldn't have like any worries about if he could come to Texas and win.
Yeah, I mean, he wins everywhere he goes. And if you look and you take a look,
none of these are bad options. Like that's the thing is like I feel like people are saying there's bad options. I don't feel like there's a lot of bad options on the table. I feel like they're mostly good options. It's just like getting the one that's really going to help you get over the hump, I feel like, when it comes to Texas basketball.
Yeah, no doubt. And you hear a lot of people, like you're saying, it's not the best year or best cycle to be hiring a head basketball coach. Well, this is Texas. You have Chris Del Conte, you have the Moody
Yeah,
Center, and a ton of money. I don't think it really matters what year you want to have your fucking coaching search. Like Texas, if they wants a guy, it can go get the guy.
yeah,
Now, maybe there are better other years that are better for the maybe that is true. I'm not trying to knock those guys. I'm just saying in my book, I'm not taking that into as much account because I think Texas will go get whoever Texas wants to get or somebody close to it. Um, Man, hold on a minute. Evan, see now, this would be my dream come true. My favorite athlete of all time coming back and coaching. I think Kevin Durant would be. Can you imagine our guys on social media, all of them
it's a
just trolling
three-point
the
game.
shit out of everybody? Is it
Yeah,
really? Let's
yeah,
go.
45-42. Yeah, they made a couple
Unbelievable.
threes.
Okay, let's go. But yeah, Kevin Durant coming back, coaching. I mean, our guys, imagine them on social media just absolutely ripping up our fans that question them for one missed shot or one turnover. I'm all about that. Bring all of that world into the Moody
Yeah,
Center. No, I think KD would do a fantastic job. I'm not gonna pretend like I know anything about his coaching aspirations, but I'm not gonna say anything negative about him on this channel ever, other than I disapprove of his decision back in the day of going out to the West Coast. But don't get me started there. So we've got a Bill Self train here. We've got a Patrick Ewing. That's a really good one.
Chuck Ewing. Yeah,
You know,
that was an experiment over at Georgetown.
I'll say this. I think from the sound of it, Sean Miller is kind of the floor as far
Yeah,
as the hire goes. And
I
I'm not
feel
going to
that.
sit here and act like I know if he would leave for sure.
Yeah,
But I don't. I just. If Del Conte is going to go, he's going to go big here. What sport does Texas have right now that's not clicking?
yeah.
Name one. Men's
I
basketball.
mean, yeah,
Um,
men's basketball, I guess, would be. I mean, and we're still made, I guess, made the tournament. Whatever you want to say. I mean,
we
um,
made a play-in game. Does it actually
yeah,
count? I know
I
it
don't.
counts, but does it really count? I was telling Kayla, I was like,
I
I don't
wouldn't
know if
hang the
this
banner.
counts. We're not one of the 64. If you're
I wouldn't.
67 or
I wouldn't hang the banner. Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
I was leaving
but
room
I
for it
go
right
to
there, but
Rick Pitino. I think going back to him, like I think he's just kind of enjoying New York and St. John's. So I just think overall, like, and I feel like he's like I'm old. Um, I don't know if he would make that move. I don't. I think that he's kind of enjoying where he's at.
yeah, I mean, he seems to be in heaven and an Italian, you know, a strong Italian in New York, probably feels
Yeah,
a little more at home than he would in Texas. Nash, what's up, brother, man? Um, it's tough. I would love Rick Pitino just because for me, I'd like to say my basketball
yeah,
fanhood, I feel like would come full circle. The first national title I remember is watching Kentucky and Arizona in the late '90s there with Rick Pitino. But I doubt that would happen. That's one that I would feel even less confident about than like a Nate Oates. Now, again, not
yeah.
saying any of that, just saying with Oconee, it will be the Pranzini, baby. Bring it in. Oh man. Let me say this. We haven't mentioned his name yet. I'm tired, bro. I am
Yeah,
tired. Yep.
I'm ready
I'm
for
tired.
go. Like, give me yours. Give me yours.
I want TJ Osselberger. I would do
Yeah,
anything for TJ Osselberger. I'm a big fan of Iowa State. I think if they were fully healthy this year, I would have them listed as one of my favorites, along with any other school you want to name to win the national title. I think
yeah,
that much of their roster, but they've been banged up down there and the stretch in the Big 12 and kind of tapered off in conference play. I think they finished fifth in the conference. No big deal. I think then they lost their second tournament game or Big 12 tournament game. So we'll see what happens with Lipscomb. I know you mentioned liking kind of Lipscomb against Iowa State, at least from the point spread. But
yeah. Just in the general of analytics, Lipscomb was the best 14 seed analytic wise. I've not really seen him play, so I can't say that for sure. But um, they looked like a pretty good 14 seed, and then Wilmington I think matches up well with Texas Tech in the way they shoot the ball, which they're competing. So
yeah,
um,
they got back in
yeah,
that
we'll see
game.
what
Yep.
happens with the Lipscomb and Iowa State. I don't think if either of these coaches lost tonight, I don't think that really affects me. Obviously, general fan base of people that uh, don't watch these guys or don't know their coaching history or something. That if one of them loses and then we go and hire them tomorrow, um, after a loss, I think that people would probably be up in arms. Like, didn't this guy just lose as a 33 seed? But yeah, so yeah, I love that one.
Well, that's
I
when
mean,
we come out and
those
we
are
say,
my
well,
first, my two. So
that's when we come out and say, well, wait, he only lost as a 3 seed because he was talking to Texas and he didn't really care that much. That's
yeah,
so
exactly.
so easy to spin that
He
these
was trying to
days.
get back home as fast as possible to get to Austin.
You got a little Lipscomb pick here from Mr. Chef.
Yeah, I like Lipscomb, man. Like everything that I'm looking at, I like the way they play. Iowa State's been kind of obviously hurt towards the end of the season and hasn't played great. And yeah, and like I said, Wilmington's hanging in there, man. They didn't seem like a normal 14 seed. I think Lipscomb was the same way. I think they were they could have been a 13 seed in my opinion. And I'm like, anytime you see one of those that are like a little underrated, those are the ones that you might want to jump on. I didn't pick either of them. I'm not cool enough, but
I took a couple of 13 seeds and 14 seeds that not really played out in my favor. But you gotta take some risk out there. I'll say this,
especially
same as you.
You're like 200 people. You're gonna take risk.
If McCaslin lost today, I wouldn't care a lick. It doesn't change anything for me. And same for Iowa State. Now, yeah, I'll agree. I don't think there's a chance really that Texas takes TJ Otzelberger from Iowa State, who seems to be at the perfect spot for him. And oh my gosh, man. Josh is always bringing the heat. You got to respect him for coming in the comments and always bringing the gas. Yeah, that'd be a bad loss. But let me tell you this: they would be about 10% as mad as they would be if Texas took their basketball coach for the second time in under a 5-year span. So it could get bad.
I would understand why they would be upset, but at the same time, like I did think it was kind of funny. Like Texas lost the other day, and a lot of course, let them go. Have their fun. Texas Tech and Texas A&M fans were both like, "Yeah, you guys suck. You lost your playing game," and I'm like, "I might take your coach, so be careful there. You might have wanted us to win if you want to keep your coach."
It's just like people were like, "Y'all are bad." It's like, well, we went 19-14 and had a 6-12 record in conference play. So it's like you're not wrong. We're not great. Maybe you are wrong a little bit, but it's just like, I posted a thing about A&M and Tech, hoping something would happen with them just for some drama today, and people are like, "You're projecting your loss onto us." I'm like, shut the hell up, bro. I'm literally just trying to have fun on this app for 5 minutes, and it's not that serious. We weren't winning a national title. I did not have. Of course, you want to win the game. You become emotionally invested for the players, for your friends, for your coaches, for everybody. You want to win the game. But the second Texas lost, it's like, well, Texas wasn't going to win a title. It's going to be okay. We get to have a coaching search now. Like we're okay out here. This is not like post Ohio State where I wanted to bury myself in my backyard for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
completely different scene. Completely different scene. TJ's probably not happening. Grant McCaslin would be great. That would be a really, really fun hire. If Buzz Williams were to leave A&M, would you want a Buzz Williams in Austin?
Not particularly. I think Aggies fans are right. I do think it's funny. I think they think Buzz has a ceiling, which I agree with them, and I think Buzz also thinks A&M has a ceiling when it comes to basketball, and that's kind of the situation they're both in, fighting each other. Like A&M has a ceiling of what their basketball team and how much they're invested in basketball is going to be, and I think they think the same thing of Buzz Williams is like as a coach. Like, what's his ceiling? So I mean, I would no, I think that there's other guys out there that I would be more interested in taking a bigger chance than taking somebody like, not that I don't think Buzz is I think Buzz is a great coach. I think he is a hard coach. I think he's hard nosed. I think he gets his team to really play. I think Texas A&M could make a really good run this year, but
no, you don't. Really. I saw your bracket. You don't think that.
I'm always going to pick against them.
You don't think that.
They could be the number.
You can't piggyback on my A&M pick. You can't
35-0, number 1 seed, and I would have been like, American University. Whoever it is, who's that 16th seed, I'm taking them. Mount St. Mary's is being A&M tomorrow.
Yeah, I get why y'all are
Yeah.
paranoid, man, but I don't think see Buzz is I like Buzz Williams, but he kind of has, his own shtick, and I don't think it is for everybody. I think he and Aggie Lane kind of pair well. I feel like y'all gotta you gotta find a way to get Alberts and Buzz aligned if that is actually the issue there. Again, not gonna say or act like have confirmed any of the things I've been told. It's just speculation, but there's a lot of Aggies saying it too, so makes it feel a little more credible there. Um, Come on, Yap, we need San Diego here. We need San Diego in a bad way. Get through the finish line, and then maybe they take down A&M. Would be a lot funnier if they took A&M down than Michigan. But
Michigan
again,
has a lot of the same problems A&M does, though. They turn the ball over a lot, but it's
but
San
that's the
Diego just
thing. But
shot
that's
the
the
ball
thing. They're the same
so
teams
terribly in the
almost.
first
They're
10
they
minutes of the game.
they're the same
Yeah.
team almost. They want to play in the open court. A&M is Michigan on steroids. They're bigger, not actual steroids. Please don't panic, Aggies. Saying you're
Yeah.
bigger, you're faster, you're more athletic. You probably shoot the ball similar, just a little worse, but
Yeah.
defensively you're even better too. So
If you
matchup
see San
wise,
Diego wouldn't have shot the ball, went 0 for 9 from 3 in the first 5 minutes of the game, this they're probably leading right now.
no,
That's
yeah, the
seven.
first couple of minutes of the game is why they're down. They didn't
Yeah.
score and for the first
Yeah.
5 or 6 minutes of game time, which is like
Yeah.
15 to 20 minutes of real time.
Yeah. It was
But
miserable watching.
Dusty May,
Yeah.
um,
I do like Dusty May at Michigan. I think it is going to
you
work out.
have to. You have to.
Yeah.
If you see the talent out there, like Dusty May is a really, really good coach.
Yeah.
He's
Big
overachieved
Ten
in year one.
championship first year.
I don't. I missed it. I'm tired, Nash. You're gonna have to be obvious with your compliments. Um, but yeah, I think A&M goes to the Elite Eight. Is what I had them in my bracket. I think that off Elite Eight run, Buzz can't leave, right? I mean, they've got to find a way to coexist. If
I don't know. I think if obviously the Schlossnagle thing, there was more going into it. Obviously, his relationship with Chris Del Conte and stuff like that. But you would think if it was one, the same AD that hired Schlossnagle, and two, if he got along really well with that athletic director, who's his boss, he probably would have thought about staying a little bit harder than he did right off of a national championship. So, so yeah, I wouldn't be shocked even off of an Elite Eight run if Buzz left. If it is that sort of thing, you know what I'm saying? That's a working relationship with your boss, and I think everybody, whether you're an Aggie or a Longhorn or whoever you are, can understand that working relationship you have with your direct boss. You want that to be good, and if you can go somewhere else and feel like you have a better working relationship with your boss, and which can make you more successful, you're gonna do it. And you can be successful somewhere with a boss and maybe like, hey, I can go somewhere else and be more successful with somebody I like to work with, somebody that I feel like has my back, type of thing. You're probably going to do it. So yeah, even if they went an Elite Eight run, I could see Buzz leaving.
would be crazy when you're talking about this. Obviously we mentioned earlier the success he's had at A&M is solid of anybody
Yeah.
that A&M has had as a head coach. Maybe not as deep a runs as Billy Clyde had there in the mid to late 2000s with those AC Law and Joe Jones teams, but yeah, Chef. I mean, maybe it's coping. Maybe it's just trying to jinx you guys without trying to jinx you guys. But I'd like the way the bracket sets up for y'all. I really do. I had San Diego getting by Michigan. I think y'all can take care of San Diego. If Michigan were to win, I think y'all match up really, really well with them. Play very, very similar styles. And then you're talking about Auburn, who has a really tough matchup with Creighton. No guarantee they get by that. So y'all have already beaten Auburn. The way Creighton plays basketball, man, it's fun to watch. Very, very smart, very, very together. They shoot the hell out of the ball. They pass the hell out of it. They're never going to be great on defense, but they give maximum effort. So yeah, it's fun to watch Creighton hoop. That's a really fun region. Probably my favorite, to be honest. But
Just real quick, I want to go back to Grant, just to give everybody that may be listening in a little bit more info on how good this guy is. I pulled him up just to make sure I didn't have anything wrong, but he was at Midland College. and is a JUCO, 816 winning percentage. Overall, the dude has a 741 winning percentage. He's won 30 games in every place he's been except Arkansas State, where he was only there for 1 year, went 20-12. He won the NIT, obviously at North Texas, where they didn't get the bid. I don't know if you remember that, where they won like 27 games, lost in the Conference USA final, and then didn't get the bid.
Yeah.
They went on win the NIT. The year before that, they went to the second round of the NCAA tournament at North Texas. I don't know if anybody's ever watched North Texas basketball, but they've been terrible forever, ever. They've never had a good program. He won 30 games, 25 games, then 30 games there. Then obviously at Texas Tech, hasn't won 30 games there yet. But if he stays and continues to be at Texas Tech, I imagine that he could have a 30-win season at some point.
That's a big year, bro.
Yeah, the 30 wins is a lot, and
it's a big year.
He's won. He did it at Midwestern State as well, Division II. So he's won in every single place he's been, every single stop. He's been JUCO in Texas. He's been Division II. He's been Division I, at multiple stops, DFW area, obviously now in Lubbock. And then he graduated from Baylor as well. So dude knows Texas like the back of his hand. So, I mean, yeah, just to give everybody a little bit more background on what we're kind of seeing when we're talking about like how good this guy is as a basketball coach.
Oh, for sure. And Chef, have a great night, man. Thanks for stopping by. Good luck to your Aggies for the rest of the way. But no, we've talked about him a lot, man. Grant's a winner. There's a reason that Texas Tech took a chance on him after having a pretty good little, their best run of college basketball in their school's history. Going from Beard to Mark Adams, who didn't work out, and then they really wanted to get it right. And everybody, as quickly as they hired Grant McCasland, I knew that's when Tech, they obviously felt very, very confident, and they had definitely done their due diligence on Coach McCasland. And so that for me, that would be a great one. I think just like, you just mentioned, for many reasons, you're talking about 30-win seasons at multiple schools at different levels.
Yeah.
It's impressive work. Wherever he goes, he wins. And I have high expectations for Texas basketball. Gage has high expectations for Texas basketball. Maybe we're spoiled because we grew up watching those Rick Barnes teams, but there's no reason why Texas can't be a top 15 job. Nash told me earlier that he guarantees 3 Texas basketball basketball national championships in the next 10 years. Nash loves Texas basketball. You got to trust him on that. So Nash he didn't say any of that, but we're going to speak it into existence. Nash, back it up. We're going to speak it all into existence. Texas is about to pull off a big hire. We're going to recruit the lights out. The Final Four is ours. But anyways, we're going to get off basketball for just a few minutes, probably have another 5 to 10 minutes here. And I am going to get some sleep. I've been up since 4:30.
Yeah,
Nash, sorry about all that. But we're going to talk Texas. We're going to talk LSU.
Yep.
The Tigers come into Dish Falk Field, top 10 matchup here, the only top 10 matchup of the weekend in the SEC. How are we feeling, Gage? Is this a series for you? First off, is this a series that, Texas has to find a way to win? Or if Texas were to go 1-2, do you sit there and look at it as, hey, through 2 weekends, we're 4-2. We got through a road trip to Starkville. We got through the LSU series. We're good. Or is this where, hey, let's put our foot on neck in the SEC. Go ahead and make a statement. Let's get to 5-1, or let's get to 6-0.
Yeah, I think it's you're at home too. I think that's the big thing and you want to show out. It's your first SEC series at home. I feel a lot more confident in the smaller size of pitching staff that we have. I think Nash, kind of corrected me last week when he's like, they have their guys in their spots. And I think I saw that last weekend, though. We definitely have our guys in our spots when it comes to pitching. Like, we know who we can go to. And we did that against Mississippi State, and we were great against Mississippi State. And I think repeating that success, obviously it's different now that you've got the 2 9-inning games versus you have the doubleheader as 7-inning games on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with those spots there. But I think that winning 2 is important for me. I think winning 2, you really solidify yourself as like, not only are we here, but we're here to win it this year. You really, and the timeline we've already talked about, the timeline's already accelerated by a lot. So even if you go 1-2 this week, and I think overall you look at the Texas baseball program and you're pretty excited about what's to come in the next 5 years. But when we're talking like this year, yeah, I mean, going 2-1, I think you really start putting yourself on some radars of like, hey, not only are we here for the future, but we're here for right now. Like this is a year that we can go do it too.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of weapons on this team. This is a
Yeah,
team that does have a few fall issues, but it's college baseball. There's
yeah.
everybody has a few issues, except for maybe Tennessee. They look unbeatable at the moment. They're
I think they
definitely
lost
not.
again tonight
Did they really again?
to Bama.
They did. Okay, wow.
Alabama looks pretty good too, though. They can
It's
really hit.
two in the span of 3 days for the
Yeah,
Tennessee Vols. That's kind of crazy, and their first conference loss.
yeah,
So, hey, good for any other SEC conference member out there.
yeah,
Yeah, for me, it's a series where like I don't want to be greedy, but there's a different energy about this Texas team, and I can guarantee you what they're saying in the dugout is they're going to go find a way to win Friday night, and then they'll go attack Saturday. They're probably not
yeah,
even talking winning 2 out of 3. Coaches, I'm sure, to themselves and chatter, hey, we'd love to win the series.
yeah.
They're going to be locked in on Friday night. They're trying to do any and everything it can to get that win. So I would feel like it's going to be a pretty dang revved up Dish Falk filled crowd.
Yeah.
Uh, but rocking behind Jared Spencer and hopefully making life hell on Tiger pitching, I got to feel good about it. You care to give a prediction at all?
I think we win 2 games.
Okay, who you thinking? Jared Spencer shoves or Luke Harrison shoves? Bullpen game Friday, Saturday. How do they
Oh,
play out?
I think it'll be Jared Spencer, Luke Harrison. I think Saturday. I think Friday and Saturday we win both those games. I think Sunday is a little bit of a question mark right now, especially with the 9 inning games. I think we'll also have to see how it plays out. It's so tough with baseball series because it's like unless you're definitely dominant, like when you have two pretty evenly matched teams, like if we have to use a lot of guys on Friday and Saturday, then like and you lose one of those games, then Sunday you have a gas pitching staff going into Sunday, and you lost say an 11 inning game against a really good LSU team on Saturday night. It's going to be tough to rebound because I don't think our pitching staff depth is as good as we really want it to be. But yeah, I would say Friday and Saturday we're gonna go get it, and then Sunday I'm not sure, but it really also depends on how these games play out too. Baseball is just weird.
Oh, we know that's true, man. You never
Yeah,
know what could play out.
yeah,
Bullpens are going to have to be a part of it, most likely on both sides. Jared Spencer's not going super deep in the game, so even if he looks good on Friday night, the bullpen's going to have to be a part of it.
yeah,
And so for me, I'm a little less confident. I'm actually going to give LSU 2 out of 3 here. I think just as fired up as Texas is, I think LSU comes in equally as fired up. I think I trust their bullpen a touch more.
yeah.
Would love to be wrong here. Would love to be wrong. I will be rooting like hell Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the Horns. I think that the approach at the plate, we're still working on that. It started off a little bit, kind of sloppy Friday, and then again on Sunday in Game 1, and then they slowly
Yeah,
picked up through the game. The plate appearances got a lot better. We saw more pitches, kind of got intro a little bit. I don't know. I won't say more confidence, but we're going up and swinging a lot of pitches early on Friday, and then again in Game 2. But I feel like if I get on here with you, Gage, and I pick Texas to win this series, that we're inevitably cursing or jinxing the Horns. So that's
yeah,
partially the reason, if not half the reason, why I'm going to give the Tigers 2 out of 3. Would love to be wrong, man. It's been a lot of fun watching Texas baseball. Let's talk about another team right down the road. A&M lost again
yeah.
tonight to Vanderbilt. They've dropped to 0-4 in conference play. Is it over for the Aggies? Or I mean, it's only 4 games, right? There's still life there.
Yeah, but if you're looking at their schedule, it's going to be pretty tough. Like you're going to have to complete some sweeps against. You're going to have to get some sweeps now. Like it's not like I can go win 2 out of 3. I don't know, say South Carolina. I can go win 2 out of 3 against a good South Carolina team still, you know, and be okay. Like, no, you're going to need sweeps in there. You're going to have to come to Austin and probably steal a game, maybe 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the schedule just for the rest of the season because of how badly they played. If they would have swept through non conference, it might have been like a thing where it's like, okay, they can struggle and still kind of get in. Um,
But they didn't.
yeah, it's tough, man. Like just when I look at their schedule, I'm having a hard time finding places where they're going to be able to get onto a roll, and and really win enough games to get into the tournament. But maybe they turn it around. Maybe they turn around. They've got injuries. I think that's the other part of it is that they've got. I think they had like 3 freshmen starting, which I didn't see happening before, considering they brought pretty much their whole a lot of their roster back. So yeah, they're in a tough position, man. They're really going to have to gut it out and battle it out. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Looking at
I
their schedule,
mean,
it's really tough to see the wins to see the wins there if they can't, if they can't handle what they're looking at right now.
they're missing a couple dudes and one of their better pitchers, but I mean, like, there's just so
Yeah,
much talent, experience, and I mean, guys that have been really successful at the college level on that roster. I keep thinking, hey, they'll turn it around. They'll turn it around. They jumped out early to, I think a 2-0 lead tonight. And I expected, them to this is a huge game. You want to take this first one of the 3-game set on the road. And I thought they'd find a way to hold on. Got busy, look at the phone. They just given up a 3-run bomb and they don't score again. I mean, they can overcome 0-4, but like you're saying, they're going to have to pick up a sweep or 2 in there because they're going to inevitably lose another series. They're 2 along the ways because the SEC is the SEC. They
yeah.
might be
I
in
mean,
trouble, man.
they got Vanderbilt. Obviously, they already lost tonight. You got Vanderbilt. Then you come home at least for Kentucky. Kentucky's no walk in the park. I mean, I know they're probably not the same team as last year, but they just made the College World Series and they've got great coaching. Then you got to go to Tennessee, South Carolina, at Arkansas, at Texas. Like, you're talking about big time series here where it's like you're going to have to really turn it around. And I just don't know if they proved that they can do that yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. It's completely, you have to ask if that's doable at this point because they haven't shown the ability to really hit the baseball for long periods of time. They're not stringing hits together. A lot of runs are coming via the long ball, and then they're not holding up in the bullpen late in games. They gave
Yeah.
up ninth inning runs to Alabama, I think, in all 3 games of that series. Gave up late runs to Vanderbilt today. And so, yeah, schedule only gets harder for A&M. They still have 3 games with Texas in there too. So, I mean, it's funny how it's all worked out depending on who you are, I guess. But for our side, it's pretty dang funny. Tech and UNC Wilmington tied at 40. Was it 43 here, almost halfway through the second half? It's getting
Yes,
a little bit. Get
depending on how all this stuff plays out, we might find out tomorrow who our coach is going to be between
Hey.
Kansas losing and Texas Tech struggling.
So what we should do is just hire Bill Self, make Grant McCaslin his first assistant, Rodney Terry second assistant, and
yeah,
just run the country in hoops.
yeah,
We'll cut every day, every single net is getting cut down.
yeah. I think yeah, brought up a good point when it comes to pitching on Sunday starters. I do think Jason Flores will probably start Game 3 in
Yeah,
Fuentes, and obviously, I was really impressed with Cade Bing because Texas, San Antonio, UT San, they can hit
they
the
can.
ball, bro. They can hit the ball, and he was really good. But I think by the time Sunday runs around, see, it just depends. Like, of Saturday night, what the game looks like. Are you going to go burn a Rio Os? You know what I'm saying in that situation to kind of go, but yeah. So it just depends really what Saturday looks like. Like, if Saturday works out great and we beat them, pretty easily, we don't, Luke goes 6 innings and we don't have to use a bunch of guys, then Sunday looks a lot better. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it just depends on how the first 2 games work out, I guess.
I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall right now and listening to how that staff is talking about approaching Game 3.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of options, and I don't think there's one just obvious one at the moment. But I mean, Flores makes the most sense. So
Yeah.
I would agree with both of you
So a
there.
lot of freshmen we're relying on right now, and that we're going to have to rely on later in the season. And that's what I mean by accelerated timeline. I thought this team would be good. I just didn't expect it to be this early where it's like everything's already starting to click. But I think pitching wise, I think we just got to be a little bit patient with a couple of these freshmen. I thought obviously we saw Drew Rarick on Tuesday. He kind of struggled, and the dude's gotten 90. He's thrown 96. Like, we just got to
Yeah.
give some of these guys a little bit of time and let them play out. I know everything else is clicking right now, but by the end of the season, I feel pretty good with a lot of these freshmen that they're going to be be able to come into the game in big spots, hopefully, when it comes to the games that are happening in late May and June. So,
Well, that's the thing right now is whether Texas wins a lot of these, one-run ball games or close games
yeah,
like we had with Mississippi State and the close game that we lost with UTSA, which Tuesdays are irrelevant and I don't care. But
yeah,
if you are, one of fan of a team like Texas who's feeling really dang good about the potential of making the NCAA tournament, man, we just want to have everybody in place. We just want to have all the arms figured out. We want to know who we can go to in the 7th inning, the 8th inning. We want to have our, our longer levers set up and have, lefty on lefty matchups or figure out who's good in certain spots, who wants the baseball. And so, like Gage said, it's a lot of freshmen. There's a lot of new faces around, and you're still learning and figuring things out. And so this bullpen could look like it could look a touch different by year's end, and Sunday starter could look different by year's end. I'm hoping I'm saying as far as from a results process or from a result standpoint, but from a process standpoint, it's going to be the same guys. The same guys are going to be having to get it done. Just let them figure that out
yeah,
and learn. And if they don't, they're going to throw multiple bodies at it and give the best effort to figure that out. So we've got a hell of a coaching staff in baseball, man. It's hard
yeah,
not to smile ear to ear about because it just that the baseball program is in damn good hands
yeah.
overall, from the hitting to pitching to the head man, and I don't know if y'all saw Schloss, he's don't piss that man off during a game. He's gonna give you a look and he's gonna let you know, and almost everyone around you, that
Yeah.
he's a little pissed off with you, but that's the coach and that's what
Yeah.
he should be doing. And
Scored a run, and he was like, "Did you just run through my stop sign?"
yeah,
He was not happy.
yeah, and that's just a coach being a coach, and you love
Yeah,
that, and you don't want somebody out there laughing at every mistake and every screw up. And those players don't either. That's just how the real ones want to be coached like that. And
yeah,
so it's just fun, man. And nothing wrong with the way that David Pierce did things. Just a little more energy, a little more passion with Coach Sloss. So good times, man. Definitely a good time. This weekend's going to be a blast. I can't wait to get to the dish. I'm sure Gage will drive through and he'll make it over there because FOMO is a real thing. I get it. It
yeah.
really is. But Gage, anything else that you'd like to cover before we get you out of here, man? Let you get some rest.
No, obviously, the basketball search is going to be fun, but also just enjoy this weekend. Like we're having weekends like this in Texas athletics more and more often, and after that rough little bit that we had, um, where we get to come down to Austin and we get to enjoy a sensational women's basketball team, a sensational baseball team. Obviously, the softball team is, in my opinion, still the best team in the country, even though they probably have a couple losses. I know some Oklahoma fans will have some say about that, but it's fun. You choose which direction you want to go on campus. You're watching a team that's either the number one team in the country or pretty darn close to it. So yeah, I'm just enjoy this weekend if you're going to be in Austin.
Yeah, man, elite time to be over there.
Yeah.
You got a lot you can do. I'm going to try to double dip basketball and baseball. Hope to see old Nash Talks Texas running around. I love Dr. Pepper too. Just kidding. I know you're talking about David Pierce, Nash. David
Maybe
Pierce
Pierce
is
would be great at Rice.
great guy. Congratulations to him, his family on getting the Rice job, and hope he turns him around. College baseball is better when Rice is good. It's better when Texas is good too. But Wayne Graham, Rice baseball was a really fun story for several decades there, and it'd be really cool if the Rice Owls, especially led by David Pierce, return to national relevance. But with that being said, guys, really appreciate you being here. Yap, really good to see your button here, man. Josh, Nash, Clint, all the guys, Chef. Y'all like the video for us, man. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Sorry for the late nights, but hey, it's March Madness. We're watching Tech. Might pop back on here if they lose just to talk some noise, but not. Grant McCaslin, TJ Otzelberger. Maybe it's neither of them. Sean Miller. Maybe Coach
it's Bill Self. Maybe it's Jay Wright.
Maybe it's we're
Maybe
swinging for the fences. Realistically, we trust whatever Chris Del Conte does because, as Gay said, turn any different direction on campus, walk any way you want to. You're going to find a really dang good athletic program somewhere around there. So Texas fight, hook 'em horns, all the good things. Let's beat LSU.
Yeah.
And go Vic Schaefer and the girls.